everybody. Mike Levitt. Monday, August 15th at about 9:30 a.m. 2016. Just finished reading The Quarry, Ian Banks' The Quarry, and this is the second really strange one in a row that I read of his, and probably the first one that is truly not science fiction at all. It's the first Ian Banks and not Ian M. Banks that I've read. And he's like sometimes a Seinfeld writer. Definitely very interesting, hyper intellectual. Ian Banks definitely likes to explore concepts and try book theories that are kind of off the norm. It would be the equivalent of the Seinfeld episode of just sitting around doing nothing. There's a bunch of friends that went to uni together, gathering because one of their numbers is dying of cancer, and he was sort of like the spiritual leader of the group, and they shot lots of videos together because they were like, I guess, film students at uni, and one of the films was turned out to be a sex tape, and they all sort of gathered at this guy's house who was dying, which was on the edge of a quarry, all sort of nervous about this tape, trying to make sure that it didn't exist or find it before this guy passes. And it was really centered around the viewpoint of the guy's son, who was, I guess, an autistic personality, and it was narrated from his point of view. And while interesting and certainly different, I'm returning it to Audible, which is the same thing I did with the last Ian M. Banks book that I read, Transitions, which, while I guess was in fact enjoyable in its own way, it was quite disappointing as not being one of his culture series books that I'm kind of addicted to, and sad that I've read them all now. And so I've joined the Audible Book Club, and I am trading in books as I read them to get new ones, which is something you can do because you get one free credit for one book each month, and you use it how you like. But the loophole that they seem to intentionally be leaving is that even after you're done completely listening through one, you can return the book and get another and use your same free credit for that new book. It's instantaneous. You don't have to wait to be credited back. Maybe I'll do a screencast of this, because in this way the $15 a month becomes a unlimited audiobook listening service, which is what I thought it was originally, but it wasn't. But this dynamic is actually quite awesome because you just have to time it so that the book you want to keep is the last book that you've checked out from Audible on your free credit when the month rolls over. And it's only August 15th, so I'm going to keep returning and exchanging for books that I want to listen to. My very latest addiction being the things that should lead us to those Ian M. Banks worlds of culture. I'm starting to listen to Richard Feynman. It was a big feature of some of the extra time I found myself having this weekend. A very, very unusual Sunday, completely to myself. Didn't even call Addie because it was the first night of her Vermont vacation, and if she's in a good groove there, no reason to have a telephone call that pulls her out of that sort of time and space she's in, which is going to be very unique in her memory. So letting her go with the flow today. I'll probably yesterday. I'll probably call and talk to her today. And Feynman. Wow. How could I have waited until I was, nearly 46 years old before I start listening to the teachings of this incredibly great mind who just communicates so fabulously well. I guess the answer is that YouTube is only about 10 years old or so, and that stuff, I wasn't on top of it through it being flowing into common availability. I guess I could have done it, listened to Feynman's stuff in my earlier years, but I would have had to have sort of deliberately sought it out and consumed it. The way I did with many of the classics over the years, such as like, I guess, Moby Dick, and I did read Surely You're Joking, Mr. Feynman, and as I read Einstein's, allegedly light introduction to relativity, and a lot of the other, classics that were out there. But what I have not done is listened to Feynman talk, like his legendary college lectures, which I really did have the joy of doing this weekend, leaving them running in a YouTube autoplay loop, and that was, I guess, a confirmation of many of the things that I think in my mind all the time. And I ramble, and I ramble from a what do you call it, a layman's position. I'm not really a real pro or an expert in all these different things, even computer science that I'm always talking about. I am the perpetual amateur, the perpetual noob. Yet, when I hear someone like Feynman talking, he is talking directly to me. There are not concepts in there that are beyond my grasp. He always either relates it back to what you know in real life, or he is very specific about pointing out those things that do not have real world metaphors or examples or analogies, and you just have to take them as the kooky mathematical concepts that actually represent the behavior of reality as it does, without trying to bend your three spatial dimension of a million monkey minds around what it is for there to be a fourth spatial dimension. He doesn't try and get you to imagine a tesseract, which, I guess is always a fun exercise, but wow, just a unique, refreshing style that confirms that philosophy, that belief. I guess it's also portrayed even in of all places, the Disney movie Ratatouille, where they talk about anyone can cook. Well, it's not that anyone can cook, it's that greatness can arise from anywhere or anyone, and you shouldn't be predisposed as to someone's innate ability to, become the world's next, leader in some topic or discipline based on who they are, what their education was. It can come from anywhere. And one of the funny things about Feynman is, I had this view of him as sort of the Nemeshi, the more Woody Allen style Jew from the covers of his book, Surely You're Joking. But then to hear him talk, it is way more like listening to the characters from The Honeymooners, the true New Yorkers, almost like a blend of, who is it, Carney, and the other guy who plays Ralph. Well, anyway, you know what I'm talking about. He's like a blend of the two stars, Jackie Gleason and Art Carney. He's like, take those two, add them together and average them out. That's like the Feynman personality. And to hear that personality actually talking to a group of, high-level, math or physics college kids is just infinitely entertaining. He tells a story about how mathematicians make these supersets that don't have to be limited by your actual observations of the real world. Mathematicians have a different discipline than physicists. Physicists are sort of allowed to intuit their way through based on looking at real-world examples, and everything they do is sort of made to fit those real-world examples, whereas a mathematician is not limited by such real-world examples. So they come up with a model of how things might work, and hands it over to the physicist, saying, here, you can fill in any number of dimensions. You know, the n stands for the number of spatial dimensions, and the physicist is like, okay, just, you know, set it to, you know, n equals 3, and then give me that formula. And inevitably, sometime later, the physicists come back to the mathematician going, oh, you remember that time when you were trying to tell me about 4 dimensions? And the whole audience of students breaks out laughing. It's like high-level geek humor brought down to almost anyone of average intelligence who can sit through these things, and I highly recommend it. It's just a great way to, I guess, get an introduction to what science and scientists can be like. It's not always the crazy guys in white lab coats in front of test tubes in a lab, nor is it the antisocial, you know, computer geek hunched over a computer, or the lonely astronomer. There's all these stereotype images of science, of scientists, and I think you know, watching Feynman over the weekend really just reminded me that, yeah, I do think the ultimate achievement in life and living is probably to become a scientist and to push forward the state of the world and the universe. And probably, you know, the true heroes of our day are people like Stephen Hawking and let's see, Michio Kaku, all those types of folks, even Dawkins. I wish I knew some of the female ones to just roll out off my tongue. I'm sure they exist, and I'm actually going to research them because, you know, last topic for this video is that, you know, we're going into an incredibly brave new world, of which our probable next female president, you know, knock on wood, that there's some sanity out there for the devil you know versus the devil you don't know. We're going to be in a world where, you know, we went from, you know, president of African descent to woman president, and it's just going to be a permanently differently wired future generation, a generation of possibilities, of old limiting notions being put aside as the silly nonsense beliefs of their ancestors, and are going to be dealing with all kinds of moral questions and questions of how to allow science to proceed, to not become runaway science, and how to keep everyone having a decent enough quality of life on this planet to have been worth being brought onto this planet. The general reduction of suffering, I think, has got to become a priority of the day. No matter how rich and in control this 1% is, they're all dead, you know, after 100 years. And sure, there's going to be a new 1%, but it's a rolling 1% that keeps going into the new and modified, even penetrating into their fortified world, the new and modified worldviews and presumptions. And the world gets gradually better as a result. Sure, more dangerous. As science advances, the number of ways that everything can just be ended increases as well, but so do our tools to be enlightened and capable stewards of our own planet. So, science, yeah. I'm going to work now to do something decidedly unscientific, which is coding. One might say, wait, coding, that's very sciencey. Well, not really. I just know how to express myself to make machines kind of do what I want them to do. So I just know another language, a slightly modified way of thinking, but nonetheless it's a modified enough way of thinking that it will combine with and facilitate spoken language. So now you got spoken language for communicating with other humans like I'm doing now, combined with the not mathematical language, it's the machine automation and control language that I'm using right now, which is Python. And of course I jumped ahead in my thoughts right there, I gave you a preview. That has got to be combined with a language of mathematics so that things that you express conceptually as language to other people can be then expressed in the machine language, so you can actually reproduce it, see it, plot it, chart it, graph it, visualize it as best as it can be. And that being the basic capabilities of humans, of people, as they get socialized, learn to communicate with each other through the tool of language and learn how to think, to cognate, to interact with other humans, and also, right along with it, learn the language to do the same with machines, to control, to express yourself, to create automations, to continue to interact with the new breed of legacy systems. Legacy is in things left in your family, running code, computers, data centers that are not on the internet but are on privately running optionally connected to the internet, capital I, internets, lowercase I. So, that's in our future. That is definitely not a excessively future vision. Consequently, it is important to speak your spoken language, to speak your machine language, and then finally, and perhaps ultimately, is to speak the language of mathematics so that you can blend all three into that highly fruitful, positive feedback loop that lets more people be scientists and to have that set of capabilities that can really move humanity forward as a whole on a more rapidly iterative cycle than we're currently on, and to carry out the big projects that need to be carried out, namely space elevators, populating the surface area of this planet that is as zero, net zero impact as possible, so that we can go to 10 billion, 100 billion in population, and to not stress our planet too much while we look at into the sky, down into the subterranean, and all the other ways we could conceivably deal with the population problem. So there you have it. We have what I believe to be sort of like a wonderful time ahead of us, where everyone gets enough food and the basic needs of life met, but in such a way where you're still being challenged to push things forward with the highest level of achievements being the achievements for all of humanity, but plenty of other smaller achievements along the way, having to do with entertaining people, keeping the quality of life pinned up to a high level, giving people stuff to do so that they're not bored. So it's not scientist or nothing, but scientist is nice. And it's probably time I went and found a book of all the different types of scientists that exist. So that can be the reading that I do with Addie, so that when I'm doing reading, I'm not merely teaching her to read, I'm teaching her a worldview that I'd like to instill into her. So my mission is clear. And if you stuck with me again through this 20-minute video, thanks. Chime in at the notes. I'm interested who you folks are who follow me. I have some idea of who some of you are, but others are just complete, and surprising, delight to find out you're out there. I don't know who you are. If you found me on YouTube through the search thing, wow. So Don't forget to comment at the bottom of the video. Don't forget to thumbs up the video. Don't forget to forward it to anyone who you think might also like to see it. And of course, don't forget to subscribe.